Here.
Jesse?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Debbie?
Here.
Eva?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
And a huge welcome to David Hart, our new RSU 87. Thank you for joining us. Next item, agenda adjustments.
Yes, I have two agenda adjustments. Under employment, I would like to add Caitlin Rollins. That is for Pat's PE teacher. And also under employment, Hannah Aiton. That's A-I-T-O-N, Hannah Aiton, and that is for HHS science teacher.
I make a motion to approve the agenda adjustments as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussions? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next up, approval of the minutes. We'll do them in a group. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 1st, special meeting of April 8th, special meeting of April 22nd, and special meeting of April 30th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain because we were in negotiation meetings, we weren't here.
Okay. Motion carries.
So the next item, I made a mistake. I thought June was the last meeting. So we do have a certificate here, and we would like to thank Eva Benjamin for serving for the last 2 years as our student rep. There will be a gift in June, so if you want to come back, we would encourage you to do so, and we will also give you a gift on that day. But we just want to thank you for your service. I know that it's a massive commitment to come to these, and they go long, and you have a life when you're a high school student, and you're getting ready for college, but you have been absolutely phenomenal, probably the best rep I think we've ever had in regards to just participating, giving feedback. You carry yourself as an adult, and it's very nice. And Michael's got big shoes to fill next year, but he's doing a great job. But Eva, just wonderful to have you, and we just wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. You're going to do some really great things, so thank you. And I think that would deserve a round of applause.
Next up, I want to address the public comments from the last meeting. Regina Leonard had mentioned about Mrs. Keyser speaking at the podium, and I just want to clarify that committee members have the opportunity to speak throughout the meeting, and so we are either part of the committee or part of the public, and so we don't speak down at the podium for just 3 minutes. That's the opportunity of being on the committees, to be able to speak throughout the whole meeting. And I know there were some questions about legal bills. As stated by the superintendent, we expect a decline as those are related, and however, we really cannot predict future legal requirements that are going to be there. And I know, Micah, there was a question that you were going to answer in regards to leisure.
Yeah, I believe there was I think it was a question in the comment regarding insurance. We carry, obviously, a couple of types of insurance. We have liability insurance up to $1 million for most things. So that covers anything from employment liability to tort liability. And there's a couple other there. That document is a public document, so anybody can request and see what our policy riders cover. So obviously, if people are curious about our insurance, they can request that through the central office.
And Greg Newell had mentioned there was 4 Trojan viruses found on the network as indicated in the DNS receipts. And a Trojan is a common term used for a variety of different computer viruses. The viruses were removed and the network was secured. So the fact that the viruses were discovered and dealt with is really just a testament of our continued due diligence, and the fact that the Trojan viruses were reported is an example of our commitment to transparency. The viruses were discovered, corrective actions taken, and no further action was required. We honestly have nothing to hide, so I welcome any of these questions. As far as the budget process, we conducted the budget process in an open forum. All subcommittee meetings and school committee meetings allowed public comment and questions. And if there were any specific questions, we asked to be emailed to the superintendent. Micah, did you get any follow-up emails on the budget process from Mr. Newell?
No, I did not.
No, I did not either. So next up, we will move to other committee acknowledgements. Jesse? Haley?
Just want to say thanks to all the teachers and happy Teacher Appreciation Week. And principals are doing a phenomenal job running the school. Everything's going well from what I've heard from feedback, and I'm just thankful for everything they do. And congratulations to Eva on choosing college. And I agree with what Mr. Grant said. You've been a phenomenal example of, and very professional the entire time. You've asked appropriate questions and been very engaged. You always have a lot to offer when you have a chance to speak, and I appreciate everything you've done. You're welcome.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Sumner and the high school for their students' work on the Good Shepherd Food Bank and establishing a school pantry program within the high school. It shows great entrepreneurism that we've been teaching through the student achievement, and it just shows good volunteerism, so thank you for that. I'd also like to compliment the 8th graders who attended the Coles Museum and the Challenger Learning Center this month. They were excellent students, and it was a pleasure to work with them over at the Coles. And it's also great to see and hear how many of our students are given the opportunity to attend field trips, experience learning outside of the classroom. I know it's a lot of hard work involved to make it possible even when some buses break down, but it's a testament to the teachers, the administration, and the support staff of how much work and effort you put into making sure that our students have a good experience. And we all appreciate your efforts, and it's what makes Hermon School Department so good, so thank you.
Ready?
I just want to take a minute to say thank you to the administrators and the staff at the high school for the educational opportunities available to students both in school and in the community. I have a friend who happens to be a senior citizen who had some students working on community service, came to her yard and bagged a number of bags of pine cones that she was fretting about outside of her window. She's in her 80s and not able to tend to them herself, so she very much appreciated the efforts, the kindness, and the respect from the students that were there. And we do have a June meeting, but I want to say thank you to the student reps for the insight that you give us. I remember when the opportunity first came about for student reps to be on the board. It has been a huge benefit to both students and us as board members. So thank you, and I hope that, good luck to you both, but, continue doing what you're doing and be who you are. So thank you.
Thank you. David?
I would just extend a big thank you to all of our teachers on Teacher Appreciation Week. I know how hard you all work, because I have one in the household, so thank you to all of you, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Eva?
So last month I talked about decon, and we had 30 key clubbers go down to Springfield, Massachusetts for the leadership conference, and we brought home tons of awards. We got an award for our fall community cleanup project, the first place in the gold division, I believe, and then I also received the governor's award. So we brought home a ton of awards. That was really awesome. And we also elected our new officers for Key Club. So Abby Dubois is our president, Taylor Scripture is our vice president, Mackenzie Euler is our treasurer, Hazel Clark is our bulletin editor, Tristan Allen is our webmaster, and our secretary, I think, is Olivia Garland. Does that sound right? Yeah. Okay. All right, so they, the new officers, as well as some other key clubbers, went to the Kiwanis meeting to celebrate their new election and also showcase the awards that Hermon won at DCON. I also want to say a huge thank you to all of our teachers, especially Miss Klein and Miss Merrill. I attended their retirement party, and that was, I don't think I've ever seen them both smile so much. So it was a good change to see them so happy, and I congratulate them on their retirement. Today we had an advisors and student leaders meeting, so just like as we do as student reps on the board, we discuss things within the school and how to improve the school environment and connections between students and the adult administration. So we talked a lot about upcoming elections and how to make them more open to everyone and how to make them more fair so that we have strong leaders but also serious leaders. And elections will be online videos again. So students will film a video of their speech. And I'm going to be sending out guidelines to students on how to do that. And so that'll be for class office as well as student council. And then there will be positions elected within student council and NHS soon as well. And then on Thursday, we're having a Choices Matter seminar. I'm pretty sure that's about like road safety as well as like substance use and avoiding that to be safe on the roads. And also on Thursday night, we have our spring concert, which is chamber choir and band. So sorry that was a lot, but there's a lot going on right now. It's the end of the year, so we have a lot of great stuff going on.
Michael?
So we have AP testing coming up this week and next week. We got word not to steal Mr. Grant's parking spot, so hopefully we won't have any problems there. Our JRTC program has had a lot going on between the banquet, the JPA inspection, and the Coles Museum cleanup. Major 48 had a note he'd like me to read about our JPA inspection, so I'll read it now. The Hermon High School JRTC Hawk Battalion earned the Honoring It with Distinction designation as a result of our JPA inspection, which occurs every 3 years. In educational terms, this is similar to a NEASC accreditation assessment. Thank you to all the Hermon High School administration, teachers, and parents who support our cadets through this stressful yet fruitful process.
Thank you. Do you have more here?
One more thing, the spring cleanup was a big success, and Ms. Clay noted that it worked out really well how she could sort students who want community service hours to people who wish to get their yards clean. It worked out really greatly.
Thank you, guys. I was going to highlight junior ROTC and all the accomplishments. Congrats to you, Michael, personally. I know you had a lot. Congrats to you, Eva, at DCON. It really says a lot that we were one of the biggest clubs in Springfield, Mass. For DCON. So congrats to you guys. I had the opportunity of listening to the officers present, and wow, that was pretty impressive. Congrats to all the seniors. I know May 1st was the college acceptance day where a lot of pictures were posted. Thank you to our teachers. We couldn't do it without you. Happy belated to all the principals, because I know last week was Principal Day. And I believe today is Nurses Day. So congrats to everybody. Thank you. So next we're going to move.
Do you mind if I say one more thing? Sorry.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's been a while, but I just, a big thank you again to all the teachers here on Teacher Appreciation Week. But I want to say a special thank you to the teachers and administrators that were part of the concert and the curriculum night, second and third grade. I believe it was 3 weeks ago now. A lot of fun was had by the kids. I think a lot of fun was had by the parents too. There were a lot of people in the gym, a lot of people in the school all at once, but it was very organized. So a special thank you for that. Sorry, Steph.
No worries. Thank you, Jesse. So many amazing things that have happened. Next, let's move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on agenda items, contribute information that may be of interest to the school committee, or ask clarifying questions. Please wait to be recognized and identify yourself before speaking. It's not the time to register complaints or promote a personal agenda. Please remember that you may not identify any person by name or job function, and we'd like to welcome Rick Burgess.
Greetings to the, is this on? Now? Yeah. Greetings to the members of the school committee and the superintendent. My name is Rick Burgess, Grogan Road in Hermon. During the past several years, I've attended either in person or virtually many of the school committee meetings. It seems that the majority of the time in these meetings has been spent on issues such as the IT department, book content, budget matters, lawsuits, and some personnel issues. I don't want to diminish the importance of those matters. However, in my opinion, the most important job of the school committee is the education of our children. I feel that this has been lost in the woods due to the many matters they have been taking up over the last couple of years. Hermon is an affluent community. Our children are not less intelligent than those of our surrounding communities. Yet, according to most of the results of various tests and measuring methods being published, our schools fall far behind the other 8 or 9 schools in our immediate area. Hermon Elementary, for instance, placed 102 out of 290 schools. At least 10 other local schools tested better. Hermon Junior High scored 31 out of 96, while the high school made some good progress. It moved up to 18 on one site and 34 on another after being in the 40s in 2022. I'm not blaming the school committee for these low results. I'm not placing blame on the teachers either. It could be parental input or lack thereof, school curriculum, class sizes, lack of focus on the core subjects, and on and on. There are many possible reasons. For that reason, I'm making a recommendation that a study committee made up of school administrators, teachers, students, parents, and other citizens, plus some people in the same categories from RSU 87, be created to study what has caused these low results and make recommendations on how to improve them. Undoubtedly, there are many things that can be done to improve the quality of our children's education. I'm not looking to place blame, just solid ideas on how to give our students a better education. But I'm certain that there are things that can be done, and it's up to the school committee to take the initiative to start the process. I'm sure this will be a welcome area of discussion to the school committee as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, personnel.
Yes, you have in front of you one resignation. That is regrettably from Mrs. Lisa Roy. Mrs. Roy has been the guidance counselor at the middle school for the last 5 years, and she is moving on to, well, I actually don't know where she's moving on to. It's not in public education, but she just feels as though there's some conflict in her role and her belief system, and so she has decided to finish up the year and tender her resignation. So I was sad to accept that. I worked with Mrs. Roy for several years, hired Mrs. Roy. She is very good at what she does. So that would be a tremendous loss for the middle school. Under employment, I'm pleased to report that we had a very qualified bus driver apply for the empty position, or the vacant position we've had for several months since the beginning of the school year, and he is now employed and doing bus runs, driving bus 4, so that's obviously a good thing for the school district. And then would like to bring the two, as I mentioned in the agenda adjustments, I'd like to bring Caitlin Rollins forward. Caitlin's currently a PE teacher at the Skowhegan School District. I think that's MSAD 54. When we checked with her references, the term rock star was used a couple of different times, and that's what a PE teacher is at the elementary school level, and that's exactly what we are looking for. So very excited about bringing her name to you. And in addition, I'll go to the science. I know you'll take them separately. Very excited about the science teacher, Hannah Aiden. She is currently a middle school teacher in North Dakota. She and I had a really nice conversation last week via Zoom, and she has a very interesting background. She used to work for North Dakota Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. So not only she experienced as a teacher, she has a background in a scientific field. I want to go shoot elk. She wants to come to Maine. I told her I'd love to switch. I don't know why she's coming to Maine, but no, she and her spouse honeymooned here for their wedding. They loved it, couldn't get it out of their heads, and they are making that dream come true. So very excited about Mrs. Aiden joining the science department. I think she's going to be absolutely fantastic.
I make a motion to approve James Parker for employment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I make a motion to approve Caitlin Rollins. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Because it's not a high school position.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. I make a motion for Hannah Ayton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
And then lastly, I'm looking for a motion for a girls varsity basketball coach. As you remember last year, you approved Coach Thornton. Coach Thornton has resigned, and the committee brought forward Liza Muth, who has been in the district obviously for several years as a middle school coach, if that name looks familiar to you. And so the committee is again sending forth Liza Muth for girls varsity basketball for 24-25.
Do I have a motion for varsity girls basketball coach Liza Muth?
Yep, I move to hire Lisa Muth as the 24-25 girls basketball coach.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next up, old business. I want to welcome the public an opportunity to be able to speak. We'll close public comment. Was there anyone that was looking to speak?
I'm not sure.
Well, I forgot. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, I'll close public comment. Do I have a motion for the excused absence of Jesse on April 1st, on 4/8, 4/22, and 4/30 is Chris and Debbie? Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next up, this was tabled from last time. I move to initiate a statewide and national search for a full superintendent for the Hermon School Department in December of 2024.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I believe we tabled it because we wanted to have discussion about that.
Perfect, this is the opportunity. What would you like to propose?
Well, it was more of an executive session discussion, that was my understanding.
No, it was a discussion that we had in public on the April 8th meeting.
Correct.
Did you have some ideas?
I'm just not sure if we should make this motion now, if we should table it. I'm not sure, we have a lot of moving parts right now. Any thoughts?
Yeah, we had a motion to hire an interim superintendent, and that was approved. So now we need to, at some point, move forward to hiring a full-time superintendent. So what I would like to have for a discussion is, the motion is to initiate statewide and national search for a full-time superintendent for Hermon School Department in December of 2024. I would like to amend that, or recommend that it be started as soon as possible, so that the announcement can be published no later than 9 December, which would be a week after our December school committee meeting. That would give us the 4 or 5 months for us to go through the process of, we need to update some of, or at least review some of the policies. We need to review and update the position description. We need to update and train committee members on what is confidential material and how we're going to move forward to it. We also need to conduct sensing sessions with residents and employees, and then confirm with MSMA of how we're actually going to pursue this. So I'd like to have the motion be that it is started, or the the announcement is published no later than 9 December.
Yeah.
What are we actually making a motion to approve here? What is the initiate citywide national search?
It's to show that we're going to be posting for the full-time. Yeah.
It's
and
just the posting one that we're talking about. We're not talking
Yeah.
about the getting the community involved.
Yeah,
Is this just for the posting of the position?
Yes, this is just to initiate it, but to Brian's point, we do have to have a well-thought-out hiring process, and that would still give us time.
I don't know that the committee needs to make a decision on this now, because I don't think we should be posting that for that position now. We want to be posting for that, during the superintendent season, which, we want to post around November or so. So I guess my recommendation would just be to table it until we can get through our current search, and once we get a little closer to the November timeframe. I'm not saying we have to wait until November, but
I don't remember who made the second, but I'll certainly retract my motion, and we can table it until June.
I just want to, if I can understand, I just want to make sure it's clear. I think we should start the whole process with the community to get all the feedback, the surveys and what the committee decides to do with that. But just in terms of posting the position, my recommendation is to table that.
We need to take some kind of action to say that we're going to do those things. So, and that's my point, is we don't have to post the job. The whole point of my recommendation was we have to post it no later than a set date. So we can, I put that date after the December school committee meeting to give us time to do all of those processes. But I believe we have to take an action to say that we're going to do it so that we can move forward with those sensing sessions and putting our information together for the posting and then future interviews for the job. Because right now we've agreed we're going to hire an interim. We haven't agreed that we're going to hire a full-time. I see this motion being we're going to hire a full-time, and the deadline or the timeline for posting the job, not hiring a person, but simply posting the position, would be December.
One of the things that we could do is we could certainly retract the initial motion on the table and change the language to say no later than December or whatever date we agree upon. And then we're not tied to that specific date. Eva, did you have something to add?
I'm just wondering what the significance of December is in the search for superintendent.
Yeah, it was to Jesse's point of the key hiring time, I believe. Do you have any insight on that, Jesse?
Just from what Eileen had mentioned, that typically superintendents who are looking to potentially move are looking in that November, December timeframe.
Can I say a few things? Yeah. And it also has to do with contractually how long they need to give where they're working time to get out of the contracts if they are. Or, so some of that has to do with planning for new schools if they're leaving. We have to have time and they have to have time. The other question I had is, when we're saying this, does that mean we're locking in contractually for that higher amount to the budget with MSMA? Because it was quite costly. So if we're making this motion, are we therefore agreeing to spend, anywhere from what, like 8 to 25,000 or something?
No, those amounts, that was if we were to RFP. I don't remember exactly what MSMA was, but it was not nearly that. So no, we're not locking into who we're going to use. That's part of initiating the process. It doesn't say who we would use. To Brian's point, that's where we're going to define that process.
Yeah, because we'd be making a motion to hire an SMA or another agency to do the search for us, but we haven't even even approved that we're going to hire a full-time superintendent. This is kind of the first step to get the motion, to get the process moving.
So I would like to remove my motion that's on the table and amend the motion to say, move to initiate a statewide and national search for a full-time superintendent for the Hermon School Department no later than December of 2024.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on that?
I mean, I don't think we need to even make that motion as far as getting, and we're obviously going to be hiring a full-time, that goes without saying. So we can move forward, I think, with getting community input regardless. You were saying it has to be tied to this. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, if we're going to have a process, we need to have agreed upon that we're going to go through a hiring process to hire a full-time superintendent. Part of that process is, and then it goes into, I'd like to have some input from the community, input from administrators and teachers on what we look for, or what we should be looking for in a full-time superintendent. So this is saying that we're going to hire a full-time superintendent. We're going to actually do the process for it.
I just would like to have that information from the community, so when those applications start coming in, we have,
That's it, Renita. We're completely saying that we're going to do that process. What are you looking to change with the motion that's on the
I'm
table?
just getting more information about it. So I'm just trying to understand. I'm hearing different things, I'm trying to understand, so. We're talking about a process. When do we talk about the process of what that looks like and what we're going to do?
We agreed that we're going to hire a full-time superintendent. We haven't agreed that we're going to move past the hiring an interim superintendent, and that's what the minutes say, is we're going to hire an interim superintendent. It doesn't say anything about hiring a full-time superintendent. So if you want to talk about the full-time superintendent process, then you have to agree that we're going to hire a full-time superintendent.
What are you wanting to change with the motion?
Just thought we were going to have more. I thought we were going to have more of a discussion about the process and what we're planning for. We're going to come with a solid plan, and then we were to make a motion of what we were doing.
Which we're absolutely going to do, but we can't have a plan if we don't agree that we're going to post the position by a certain time. So this is simply to say we're going to initiate the process no later than December 2024, because if we don't have that date in there, then what are we aiming for? So this is just giving us a no later than, because we agreed that maybe we need to do it sooner. We've got to establish the process. We heard from Eileen what that looks like, and decide who we're going to use.
Can you share your thoughts again, Josie, just to refresh my brain, voting lines, what you said?
Sorry, I'm just trying to remember here. So my main concern was that I guess we were going to hold off on all the community research until December. And to Brian's point, I think we should start all of that as soon as possible. And we shouldn't post. I read this again initially. I read this as posting. Now for December superintendent, which obviously we don't think we should do. That answer your question?
Yeah, and my point is, our motion was to proceed in the hiring of a one-year interim superintendent, or up to one-year superintendent for the Hermon School Department, starting mid-June. There's no, then we stopped short of saying that we were going to actually hire a full-time superintendent. So if we want to be able to move forward with the process and then be able to say, well, maybe MSMA is somebody that we want to work with for the capturing of certain information. If we haven't approved that we're even going to move forward with the process to hire a full-time superintendent, how can we then move forward with selecting an agency to help us?
Any other discussion?
So you're saying to amend the process to start the search no later than December 2024?
Yes.
I was wondering if we should mention if that means the beginning of December or by the end of December, since that's the prime hiring season?
Yeah. Yeah, we could certainly amend that to say December 1st.
I put December 9th, so it gave us the December school committee meeting
Oh, December 9th,
to look
yeah.
at it and review and approve the final PD. I assumed we all wanted to go through and review the final position description.
Yeah.
And that would be a last chance for us to review it during the December school committee meeting with a self-imposed deadline of December 9th to actually have the job announcement out with a committee-approved position description.
Yeah.
And having that description fully reviewed and gone through with a fine-tooth comb and had some review of it, external review to make sure it's got what we want on it.
So just because we've had a lot of discussion, so now that we're voting to move to initiate a statewide and national search for a full-time superintendent for the Hermon School Department no later than December 9th, 2024. And who had the second?
I'll second.
I'll second that.
Yeah. All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. I'd like to open it up to the public for an opportunity to speak about the new business, and that's all the new business that we have in the category. close public comment. I make a motion to approve to reduce the position of the PADS diversity coach from 1.0 FTE to 0 FTE. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Yep, so through a variety of processes and educational research, we do not feel that we are getting the best bang for our buck with the literacy coach at the elementary school, and that's not a knock on that profession whatsoever, but our goal has been to reduce classroom sizes and to continue to bring ratios down. And so you approved in the budget a third grade teaching position, and this is transferring that individual to that position. Now, it's not a transfer because we do not see this position coming back. So therefore, we are looking to reduce this position, and this individual is planning on taking the third grade position. Again, that's their choice. They have the right to do that via the collective bargaining agreement. But like I said, through a variety of discussions with Mrs. Davis, we just don't feel like this position created a decade ago is really not advancing our goals. We think that this position would be much better used to continue to reduce classroom sizes. And so this is the third grade position that we are looking to add to reduce classroom sizes. We think that's more important.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, I move to approve the first reading to amend JGAA, assignment of students to classes 5-year-olds. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next, I move to approve the first reading to amend JLCE, first aid emergency care. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Unanimous. Move to approve the first reading to adopt JLCER, first aid administrative procedure. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, motion carries. I move to approve the first reading to adopt KJA, relations with boosters groups. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, motion carries. I move to approve the waiver for October 27th, 2023.
Second. Second for discussion.
So the waiver is you, as a school committee, can approve not making up that instructional day. The waiver was approved by the Department of Education. I submitted that somewhere in that range. So obviously we did not have school on October 27th due to the tragedy that occurred down in Lewiston. There were some other things going on in our district. I cannot speak to them publicly, but through careful consideration and obviously discussions with the Sheriff's Department and the administrative team, we elected to cancel school that day. That being said, what you can do is you start to watch days pile up, whether it's snow days or obviously days like this where you have obviously no control. You can request a waiver to not make up that instructional day. The Department of Education is actually pretty strict about they want to know why you shouldn't have to make up that day or what you did to try to make up that day. And we just explained to them, we are now, I believe, going because of the Juneteenth holiday. We're on June 20th or 21st with that holiday that week. We just feel like this is just too long to keep our kids in school. And obviously that day was beyond our control. So that waiver was approved. And I would recommend that we cut the year short with one day. But obviously bringing that to you.
Was there another day that was on there too, though?
So I am working with the Department of Education for the electricity outage. They are not as forgiving on that one, and so I'm in discussions with the Deputy Commissioner about that day, but I won't know until June.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Actually, I have one question. So you still won't know the last day of school because you're still waiting on that other date? Is that correct?
Well, I didn't do a waiver last year. My thought process is,
No, did you? I'm not sure. What I asked was, do you know the last date of school, or is it dependent on the election date?
so I submitted a waiver for 2 days. The second day has not been approved yet.
Okay.
They have approved the first day. In my mind, once it's approved, I think it's the school committee's ultimate decision to decide whether or not to have that day, to accept that waiver or not. Unfortunately, we don't have a meeting until June 3rd, 4th, thank you, June 3rd. Now, I don't know if there's any other special meetings that the committee will have through the month of May. Perhaps if I hear before then, I can bring that to the committee, but it's either going to be, and again, don't quote me on this, it's either June 19th or June 20th until I hear about that second day. And then I would bring that to you for approval on June 3rd. Or you could just vote on it now. If we get it, I wouldn't have to wait till June 4th to announce the last day of school.
Can I just mention something? I think you touched on this briefly, but June 19th can't be a school day because it's a federally recognized holiday. So I heard Mr. Walsh talking about this a little bit earlier, and I know it doesn't matter with seniors, but at the end of my junior year, I was already ready to graduate. So I assume that if there is school on June 20th, the attendance is going to be extremely low, and I don't want students to miss final exams or to affect the Hermon School Department at all.
The thing is we already took a motion, second, we voted.
So right now, the last day of school for students is June, we just approved the waiver, it's June 17th. So if we have another one, it's June 16th, a Monday? Yeah. So the last day, if that was approved, would be June 16th. Either way, we're into the next week. So I could certainly wait till June and bring that date forward if it was approved.
June 16th is a Sunday.
June 16th, we would be into that week. I'm sure the attendance will be great on June 17th, the last Monday of school.
I would ask that the administration can communicate that date of the 17th so that parents can make appropriate time. I don't think that making the decision in June is going to give enough time for adequate daycare, et cetera, for coverage for pets. So that covers us because we made the motion to approve the waiver and changing it by day. Okay. Next up, administrative reports. Michael, did you want to speak to your report?
I am still waiting for the Homeland Security outcomes from that visit, but we had a great visit. And again, just thank you to Deputy Boyd for arranging that, going through all the buildings, including the superintendent's office. I really appreciate that. I did meet with Mr. Bragg at Carpenter Associates regarding not only the facilities for the fall and setting a meeting with him and I to meet with the interim, so that could be then passed along to the facilities committee. But also we talked about the awning, and they are reviewing that and what needs to be done to fix that. They've asked Mr. Davis to complete a couple of things from an information standpoint. So I know that Jason was going to be working on that. And I think I just wanted to, those were my two primary concerns. I wanted to touch on those. In employment, we're doing really well from an employment standpoint. We still have a couple of positions that are out there, including special education secretary at the central office. Well, obviously we have HMS guidance, and we have social studies here at the high school. I think those are some of the big ones that we're going to try to be bringing people to you for the June meeting.
The only thing that I wanted to start to see in the reports for administration and the athletic report, is I want to start to see we've got some great reports on number of students that are participating in the sports. I want to start to see numbers of results that we're getting in the surveys that are being sent out for the evaluations from the students. I want to make sure that we're really taking that material into consideration from our students as they're rating their coaches, and I want to see how many students are completing those anonymous surveys. Did we have anything else?
Mr. Grant, I have a question regarding the Homeland Security report.
Yes.
Just to, I call it manage expectations. Any findings in that report are intended to remain limited or confidential, correct?
Yes, limited.
Yeah.
And obviously there will be sections that will be completely confidential.
Yeah. And that's for the best safety for the school and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and one of the things, if you read Mrs. Davis' report, you saw that they made the recommendation. Mrs. Davis and I have been working on a plan to have school on the election day in June. We've gotten quite a bit of negative feedback, and we understand that remote is not popular. Homeland came through, they said, they looked at our situation, how the voting is set up. They said, don't do it. We recommend you don't do this. That's something we obviously don't feel comfortable about sharing with parents because it validates that decision that we went with, however long ago it was. So certain things we would certainly share, but most of it, I would imagine, will be confidential.
Mr. Grant, I understand if you can't publicly disclose this, but was there a hire for a foreign language teacher to replace Ms. Clay?
There has not been.
Has there been any applicants, or is the position still open?
It has not been posted yet.
Okay.
Next up, finance report.
Any word on, a date on the audit getting started? I know it's like,
The audit is out of town.
I understand, so I asked him if he had a date
I don't have a date for the audit at the school.
for when to get started. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank Jamie for clarifying for me that we're not late on submitting any reports that were going to affect student funding. I just think it's important that we focus on the facts and what's out there. So thank you, Jamie, for reaching out to the state and clarifying that they have a shortage of staff and that the information online is not accurate. So thank you for all that you do in submitting our reports on time.
Well, when you say that, I mean, they filed extensions, right, last year and this year. So when you say a statement like,
Yep,
you
but
are
they're
behind.
Yeah, but that in no way affects our student funding. So there was concern that reports weren't being submitted on time. And it's okay to file extensions. That's completely normal. and part
It
of the
is, I
process.
just know we got a warning letter last year about losing funding by not being compliant. So I understand the concern and the fair question, so thanks for addressing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great topics for us as a committee to talk about if there's any concerns. So thank you for bringing that up. That's why I want to address that. Next up, facilities.
I don't have anything to report.
We haven't met in, since like, fall.
Okay. Did we have an updated?
December, we met in December, and I believe that was the kickoff of the
Oh, the budget, yes, that's right.
budget. We will not meet until I have a facilities study from Carpenter or the Homeland Security from Homeland. So we'll schedule a meeting when either one of those two things.
When we do that, can we do that for executive session and plan for that? Would that be because of the, so we can talk about the findings and be actually informed?
You mean for executive session?
For the
Like in
Homeland
a
Security
school?
part, right, like if we're having a facilities meeting, I'd like to generally hear the feedback and what they found.
Sure. It doesn't have to, we can have a closed meeting. We can have a private meeting and review that report with the facilities committee. That does not have to be a public meeting. Like when they share those findings.
Okay.
That can be done privately with the facilities members.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, policy.
I think our next meeting is the 27th of May.
Yeah, that has changed versus the, yeah, that is the accurate date. That's exactly it.
Can I ask, you had made a lot of statements at the policy meeting regarding needing to have urgency for that policy. Can you explain why that is urgent?
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked in the policy committee meeting for policy BCA, board conduct, to be reviewed because I want to be able to have MSMA's opinion on it, and I want a legal opinion for if we're not following that code of conduct. I think it's absolutely an important time to review that. And it's also an important time for me to mention that as individual committee members, we do not have the ability to act unless we are here as a committee. And there's been many statements on social media, and in no way are those representations of how the board feels. And so I just think it's really important that when we're making statements that we clarify we're not speaking as committee members, because I think that can be confusion at times.
So are you saying if somebody's speaking publicly, they have to say their name and I'm a citizen every time they comment? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is I want to ensure as a committee that we're following the board code of conduct, the ethics that we all agree to. And what I'm saying is at times there's statements made on social media and members aren't doing so by speaking on behalf of the committee. They are making those as individuals. And so I just think it can be confusing.
So when you were at the policy committee, 11 times you stated this was a personally driven. You're saying that again now. You said, I feel, I want, I need, when you wanted this policy. So you're right, we can't operate individually to make policies come forward. You're making an urgent decision to have this come forward. You're changing the meeting to be more urgent.
No, the meeting was changed. Michael, why was the meeting changed?
Because you can't be there on that day, but you said that it was urgent that we address this policy as soon as possible.
Yeah.
It's an abuse of power and retaliation and personally motivated to have one policy, which if you look at the entire policy, the first thing it talks about is being serving others, serving the community. Nowhere in this statement does it talk about service. It says I the whole time to bring this policy forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Keiser, for your concerns. Anything else? Any other policies that you want to bring forward to the policy committee?
I'm not done with this one.
We're not discussing that policy right now.
I'm discussing why this doesn't need to come forward because it's not urgent. You're trying to silence people's free speech outside of the committee when you just admitted when we're not together as a board, we have no authority. And policy BBA talks about the fact that we do not speak on behalf of the board when we're not here.
Mrs. Keiser, that's your opinion, so thank you for providing it.
So you're saying that there's no feedback as a citizen. That's what you're trying to control, right? You're trying to eliminate someone's ability to speak personally about their opinion.
That is not what I'm saying at all, Haley. That is not what I am. Haley, that is an inaccurate statement. Thank you for
You said you wanted basically.
Do you want to let me finish, or
Yeah.
are you done? Finish.
Thank you. You can't operate with self-interest bringing a policy forward like that. It's supposed to be mentioned, we agree. Yes, we're going to work on that.
Haley, thank you for your opinion. I very much.
So you're saying you follow the process of BGR, policy process?
Haley, this is not an opportunity to go back and forth. Do you have policies that you want brought forward? Let's work together and collaborate. Do you have policies you want to bring forward to have reviewed? Was there one you just said?
Yes. For over almost 2 years, I've asked for a subcommittee policy, and every single month I ask it, every single month you ignore it. So yes,
Perfect.
could you add subcommittee policy?
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else that anyone wanted to add for policy? Okay, perfect. Next, tech committee.
Mr. Bridges had a nice report. I don't have anything to add to it.
I did just have one follow-up regarding the equipment at the lodge. I had, in August of 2023, asked about that equipment being picked up. It's still there. We invested a lot of money. Said we put $1,000 point-to-point wireless network between the rooftops of the Hermon Superintendent and Sonic Lodge. The link was meant to provide internet access, yet the contract with the lodge says that they were going to provide internet access. Can you give an update on that situation and when that equipment will return back to the school?
So what was the answer when you brought that up at tech committee?
I have brought it up to Mr. Grant and did not receive an answer. I received an answer, but it's been since August and it's still there. So I'm asking now.
So you asked at the last tech committee meeting?
I'm asking now. I just got the information, I'm asking now.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I believe I answered you when you emailed me that question, that we will do that when it's a high priority. It is still not a high priority. When you asked me the question last time, I was going to pull up the email, but
I have it August 15th.
thank you. We didn't have a tech director, and that obviously became the top priority. It's testing season, it's academic season. We're doing a variety of upgrades, as you saw from the tech committee agenda, new firewall, new systems, new servers. So removing one point-to-point access is low priority. I will talk with Mr. Bridges, and when he has time to do it, we will do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's not active anymore, though, is it, Mr. Grant?
The reason we had to provide that was because the Masons don't, at least at the time, did not get their internet. They do not provide it themselves. They get it from the church. We found that that connection was not strong enough for alternative ed students. Therefore, we provided the connection. No, they cannot connect to our internet from that point to point. They have to, it's an academic network. They can't log in and use our internet.
Yep, and we don't have anybody over there anymore, so, no.
Have a new mic. The alternative ed students are no longer at that facility. That was just for last, I think that terminated on June 15th.
Yep, so that isn't an active access point anymore, it's just the equipment.
You
is
just
over
said it
there.
was, right?
It's the equipment. It's not
The
an
equipment
active.
is over there, but they cannot access from there anymore.
The Masons cannot, no.
So you actually had told me in an email that it was turned off. So thank you for clarifying.
Yes, that's what inactive means, turned off.
You're saying it is active.
No,
Am I not hearing? I'm asking.
you are not hearing me correctly. It
It's-
is not active.
Not active.
They cannot use it. It is a piece of equipment that is sitting on a roof that we will get when it is proper and timely to get. We have many other priorities that we have to accomplish.
Yep, I understand. So to say it's not active, that they can't access it, is it still providing internet between the school?
I'm sorry,
Say-
what did I just say that was unclear? It is not active.
You're saying it's not active, they cannot use it, as in the lodge on that. So I'm just clarifying.
Yes, it's not active. If it's not
Nobody
active, they
can
can't
use
use it. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Glad you brought that up now and not at the tech committee. That would have been a more appropriate time to ask those kinds of questions.
Why?
Possible
Because
future
that's what
agenda
tech
items.
committee
Public,
is.
public.
Jesse?
What's up? Thank you.
Thank you. Haley?
Can you come back to me, thanks?
Brian?
Yeah, thank you for the updates regarding the new and through the year school, through the year assessments. I'd like to have a data review of that, kind of dovetailing off on Mr. Burgess. We've been talking about this now for going on a year of, this is the end of the year assessments. So we really need to look into that data and how it will affect our, can't look at it really for 2025, but for our 2026 school year. We brought that up last month, and we need to set a date that we're going to look at this. So if we could do that, please.
Debbie?
I'm all set.
David?
So, thank you.
Eva and Michael?
Maybe a possible recognition for the valedictorian and salutatorian of the class of 2024.
Yeah, it's talking to you, bud.
Hello?
Great idea.
Did you hear it?
Go ahead.
Say it again. Okay. recognition for the valedictorian and salutatorian of the class of 2024.
Nothing.
I think that we should ask the town to look at a different voting location for the future for November. I had a parent reach out, and it's a valid concern. June, a remote day for pads, generally means that daycare is required. I think that we should really try to collaborate with the town to find an alternative solution to the voting that doesn't impact our students' education. And I want to thank Mr. Burgess for bringing forward to us what he did, and I echo what you're saying, Brian. It's definitely got to be a future agenda item.
If I could just echo, I brought this up before, trying to find a different location, but I'm
Yes.
on the same page, going forward after June, we need to find another location that's not a school to have those elections.
I think we need to ask them to start looking now, again, just because it impacts our students' learning.
To circle back, so at the ad hoc committee, Mr. Venziano said that he had been meeting with you for 4 months about a curriculum committee. And when you mentioned having authority individually,
What item are you asking to be added to the agenda?
I was curious how you guys were acting individually, meeting and talking about and planning
We
curriculum.
talked about it in public. What item are you
Never.
asking to be added
We've
as possible
never had
agenda
that
items?
discussion.
Mr. Benziano has talked many times about, and
He
Mr. Grant
said-
has, can I finish, please?
Sure, yes.
Mr. Grant has said he was going to wait until there was a curriculum coordinator before we move forward with a curriculum committee. So that is what was stated. I'm asking you, what agenda item do you want added? This isn't a time for open comment.
I am following up on a statement that was said. Ms. Whaler and I have been working together for 4 months on curriculum.
On the
And I'm
committee.
curious, on what committee?
What agenda item
On what
do you,
committee?
This committee.
We've never
This-
spoke at this
Yes.
committee, but no. we
What
have not.
agenda item do you want added?
To add a curriculum committee to our list of committees.
Perfect, thank you. Anything else? No? I will make a motion to approve the warrants as presented. We'll take them in a group, there's 9 of them. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have concerns about some of the legal bills. There's some personal use for using 2 different law firms for personal use, and the taxpayers are paying for that.
Did you ask those questions when you signed the warrants?
I did not, because Mr. Grant has not been there anytime I've stopped in.
Okay, perfect. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Any abstentions?
You don't vote on your warrants.
First, motion carries. I make a motion to enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A to discuss compensation of employees at 7:33 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a question, and there's absolutely no,
If this is in regards to the executive session that we're about to enter?
yes.
Okay.
I have no issue with RSU 87, so please don't take this personal, but our policy states 3 of 5 for a quorum, and it actually states that specifically for executive session. So when we were entering in, and there's been this debate over executive session and confidential information and on a need-to-know basis, et cetera, why are we having RSU 87 come in and hear confidential information on things that they have no authority to vote on and doesn't impact them?
They are part of our committee.
They are part of our community.
Any other discussion?
Yes, you're not answering. So they're coming into executive session. 3 of 5 is our policy.
For the voting.
They're part of the board, this impacts them. What else to say to that?
They don't vote on these issues. So now they're going to have privileged information.
And everything's confidential in executive session.
Correct.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.